Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by again today. 76 and still working. I just got off the phone with my big sister. She helped raise me growing up. And she couldn't talk long because she was on her way to work. She's 76 years young. 5 foot, about 150 pounds. Mother 4, grandmother to about 13 or 14. And it broke my heart. I'm like, why would you have to continue to work? She's got a college degree. She doesn't use drugs. She doesn't use alcohol. She's worked hard her whole life, but she still has to work. Just like 20% of Americans 65 and over, we still have to work. And I said, why would that be if she's living in a first world country? America is a first world country, you know, the richest nation that's ever existed. Sorry, guys. The greatest country on earth, but she still has to work. And it's not because she loves her job. I'm pretty sure she gets some type of satisfaction out of it, but because of the rising living costs. It's expensive. You know, she's got a mortgage still. And of course, she, likes to do things for her kids and grandkids. 76 years old, guys. You know, when I first decided to come to the Philippines, my friends and relatives used to ask me, they said, Cal, why would you move from America to the Philippines? And let me stop right here and say, this is not a knock on America. I'm just speaking out loud. This is stuff that's in my mind. There are a lot of you people are thinking, but you're afraid to say it because, he's unpatriotic. But they don't ask me that anymore because reality has kicked in. It's hard as hell making it over in America. Are you a failure? No. It's because your 40 years in the system's not enough. You basically have to work until you die over there in most cases. I was reading an article the other day. They had the nerve to ask, is $1 million enough to retire on? How crazy is that question? In 2026, $1 million in the bank and they're asking, can you afford to retire? What universe are they living in? But anyway, I'm over here in the Philippines because I want to live the way that my father lived, that my parents lived. And the only way to do that is to leave America based on my body of work. I'm only speaking for myself. So a lot of us are faced with this dilemma. Do I stay at home? If I'm still at home, I'm probably working. Or do I leave? And try to get some type of pleasure out of my life, before I die. Seeing my money stretch further. Yeah, y'all can say you coming over here for women, guys, but the lower cost of living is a smaller consolation, guys. I mean, I don't want to say that. It's a good consolation prize. But are we asking too much if we live in a first world country to have a first world existence? Okay, so you say, Cal, we live in America. We got a first world existence. No, back in 1977, America was the only developed country that did not provide universal health care for its citizens. 1977. Here it is, 2026, and it's still the case. Don't provide universal health care for its citizens. Even the Philippines has universal health care because America doesn't seem to value the physical and mental health of its citizens. Hell, even China does. And all these other places, they've got it. We got all this money, but we don't want to spend it on the citizens. We don't want to spend it on the infrastructure. Because I Googled something, I said, what do Americans struggle with that all these other first world nations no longer struggle with? Universal health care was number one. High gun violence, number two. The price of a high education, number three. No parental leave and pay, You know, imagine that. You're living in the greatest country that's ever lived, and they won't even pay you to have, once you have a baby, you can't even take off to care for the baby, to bond and, nurture the baby and get well so you can come back to work. No, they want you to work for the rest of your life. Inflation is out the roof because it makes you ask the question, is capitalism working? Does it work for everybody? A lot of you guys are going to push back on this video because you're suffering, but you think it's patriotic just to go along to get along. No, it's patriotic when you start questioning this stuff. I put 40 years into the system. It's not enough. It's not enough for me to live comfortable in my country. Because most of y'all watching, you did the best you could. But has capitalism failed? And you got people on this side, they're going to say, look how big the U.S. economy is. The job options. You can start a business if you want to. This is what y'all going to say. But then the other people on this side, they're going to say, well, hell, look at the wealth gap. Only the richest people are able to take advantage of the opportunities. A small amount of people own all the money. My pay hasn't went up in years. It's not keeping up with the profits of these countries. These companies, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to stop a moment and think, why would a woman 76 years old who's done everything that the system has asked her to do still has to go out there and work? She's not alone, guys. 20% of us have to do it. That's crazy in America. The infrastructure. That's another thing that we have to struggle with that these other wealthy nations don't have to struggle with. Certainly when it comes to transit. So I just want to ask the question today, why is my sister still having to work at 76? And stop asking me why I moved to the Philippines and Thailand and Vietnam and all these other places, Costa Rica. Because we just want to live. We just want to breathe. That's it. I promise you, man. I'm probably going to die in America. So my kids and grandkids can come by and dust off my tombstone if they want to. But that's the only reason I'm going to go back there. Because I don't want to live in that box in a senior high-rise building. Neither does my sister. That's why she took out a mortgage in her late 50s. But you got these rich people, everybody on TV that you hear talking are rich. The news people, the politicians, anybody that's saying anything about the American economy and the things that are going on in America, they're rich. They're not even talking to you. They're going to say they're going to use words like free healthcare. It's not free. Our tax dollars would pay for their healthcare. So many people filing bankruptcy over there. I Googled that. What's the 5 top reasons people file for bankruptcy? Number 1, job loss. You lose your job because that's another thing that people's lost confidence in the job market over there. It's not like it used to be when my father was working. Hell, he could work at the company DuPont Chemicals and all those places. Reynolds Aluminum and all those places. Get a pension, raise his family, and be good. Not anymore, but lost a job, medical expenses. 10% of Americans are uninsured. Period, end of story. So many of them, a high percentage of them, even though they got insurance, they're underinsured. So they face with all these high co-pays and deductibles. But that's the medical. 3 is unaffordable mortgages. Have y'all seen some of this rent and mortgages over there in America because of inflation, because of greed, because of capitalism over there? Listen to what I'm saying, guys. Don't push back. Let's just have a conversation. I was just watching a video the other day. $4,000 rent in San Francisco. $3,000. There was a video yesterday on Facebook a gentleman and his young son, they're living in, I think, Teaneck, New Jersey. They can't afford any longer to rent this old 2-bedroom. It's just a ramshackle of apartment for $1,500. So they're asking, hey, is anybody out there that knows a place where we can get a place for $700? He said because what they're going to do now, the landlords, they're kicking them out. They're going to refurbish the place and then charge $2,200. So that American dream of owning your own home, unless you did it when my father did or something like that, man, is it even worth it? The boomers, I was just fortunate enough to be born when I was. See, a lot of us, we're taking advantage of what our parents did, but then we dropped the ball. We didn't do a whole lot. But unaffordable mortgages. The next one is living beyond our means. Keeping up with the Joneses. This is big time in America. Living beyond our means, wearing all this jewelry and buying all these cars. And then the last one is lending money to friends and family. Yeah, guys, it's a damn shame that in 2026, my sister's still working, I wish there was something I could do. I can't do anything. Hell, I'm barely holding on myself. I had to leave the country to have a decent life. And y'all do too. More and more Americans, more and more Westerners are faced with that. I just want to live in this box in a senior citizen place and play bingo every Tuesday. People are fortunate enough that a lot of people are staying married because they can't afford to get a divorce. They can't afford to be single. They say, hell, I live with this old dusty fool or this big Shirley just to make ends meet. It's a sad day, man. And it's not going to change in my lifetime. We got this high debt over there that continues to grow. That they've just fucked up the future of my grandkids and great grandkids. Who knows what's going to happen, guys? We got money for war, but nothing else. So yeah, I'm ranting today, man, because it's a shame. Sometimes I wake up and be like, well, what am I doing over here? Would I much rather be living at home? Because I can get a woman at home, guys. Don't think I can't. I've never had a problem getting women there. But I had a problem with having to work twice as hard to maintain the same lifestyle. I put 40 years into that damn system over there, and it blew up on me. You got the nerve to ask, is $1 million enough? I don't know one person, I'm talking about in my family and close circle of friends, who have $1 million. Now, do I know people over here, through my Sunshine Shoulders YouTube channel? Absolutely. But out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of you who watch my channel, it's only a smidgen of people that have $1 million. So thank y'all so much for stopping by. I really, really appreciate it, man. I'd be damned. I'm not going back to work. That's why I'm staying over here. Otherwise, I'd be working. I'd be on that hamster wheel because I'm young at 63. Hell, that's young. The average person over 65 that's still working is between the ages of 67 and 69. I'm still young, guys. They would have me on that assembly line, putting square pegs into square holes because they ain't going to harm me to do nothing else. They say, oh, you didn't take advantage of this, take advantage of that. Neither did you. You talking that bullshit. Neither did you. That's why you still working. That's why you contemplating your present and your future. So if you're in America, if you're in the Philippines, wherever y'all find it in your heart to help somebody, not a day goes by that I don't help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. We help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. And don't do anything stupid. Stop calling people who demand more of their country unpatriotic. It doesn't make you a patriot because you sit there and go along to get along. We're struggling over there. Is America still a first world country? And if so, then let us live a first world existence. Give us universal health care. Give us free college. It's not free. Our tax dollars pay for that, just like it pays for those fucked up wars that we don't know why we're fighting them. They're no benefit to America or the American people. They benefit other countries. But we keep on doing it over and over and over. Somebody's profiting from that stuff. It's not you. So yeah, I'm a patriot. I fought for my country. But it wasn't enough. I put 40 years into the system. It wasn't enough. They still want me to work until I die. Shout out to my sister. She's gonna die on that hamster wheel, man. It's gonna be a damn shame, too.
Boots on the ground, don't do nothing stupid. Give that man his flowers, a tribute through music. If I don't know nothing, I know one thing. When we help others,